Hi, welcome back to Dr. Lisa Sulsenti's podcast. I'm Dr. Lisa, and today we're going to talk about the root cause of so many health issues. And we're really going to talk about something I see every single day in my practice, is why everything seems to come back to the gut. How so many different health issues actually were related to the gut. And people come in dealing with hormone imbalances, fatigue, migraines, brain fog, skin issues, food sensitivities, bloating, reflux, hormone problems of all kinds, all different seasons that we've talked about plenty of times, plenty of podcasts for that. And I see the patient in front of me always trying to figure out how to treat each symptom individually. And I'm not pointing any fingers because this is actually common in functional medicine and why sometimes it fails, where someone feels really frustrated that they go and they spend a lot of money. I hear this a lot. They take a lot of supplements and they just don't feel like it worked, or they're going in the medical route, right? And they're taking a lot of medications and they're frustrated just as well. And they feel like it's not working. And sometimes it's because both of those approaches, the supplement approach and the pharmaceutical, the medicine approach, is really treating each symptom individually. So if you have reflux, it's treating the reflux, right? If you have migraines, it's treating the migraines. So it's treating the symptom individually as its own target. And so that's sometimes also obvious maybe with medications and the way the medical world approaches things, very symptom target oriented, where functional you might get a little confused because if a functional medicine practitioner is giving a lot of supplements and targeting symptoms, and it's not working for you, you might want to think, well, that's kind of the same approach as the medical approach, right? And instead, what we really want to do is step back and look at what's going on underneath the symptom. What's the root cause of it? The gut is actually often at the center of everything. And that's why I've dedicated my profession to being a leaky gut expert, because I realized that if you're chasing symptoms and you're trying to calm them down, it's not a bad thing because the patient might be miserable, right? So you might temporarily have to do something like that. But hear me out here, think further. What is the root cause? And something as serious as cancer people get, and I always say to them, well, what's the cause of it? Did they help you find out the cause? Have they dug deep into your body? Have they dove down and have they looked deep to find out what could possibly be causing it? Is there something in your environment doing it? Is there something that maybe you're doing you're not aware of? What is lacking? Is there something going on with the body and it's faulting? So today I want to break this down in a very simple way so you can start to understand how your gut may be affecting your overall health and what you can do about it. And if you've worked with me before, you know, because I talk about this all the time, the layering, like the onion, right? If you're looking at different systems of the body, right? If you're looking at the hormones, the adrenals, or you're looking at the ovaries, you're looking at the uterus, if you're looking at the thyroid, if you're looking at the prostate, or if you're looking outside the digestive system and you have a symptom outside the digestive system, I always say, hey, I'm not ignoring it. If you came in for a problem that I've just mentioned, I'm not ignoring it. But what I want to do is I want to look into the gut and I want to see if this is a possible root cause, because I'm telling you 9 out of 10 times it really is for my patients. I'm not saying everything, hospital oriented and stuff like that. All right, Dr. Lisa, what does gut health really mean? I use this term a lot. Let's get to the basics of it and what it means. It actually is based on a few things. One is we're really talking about the integrity of the gut lining. So when you eat, the food goes into the digestive tract. It's a piping system, right? And it comes from your mouth, goes all the way down to your butt, and it twirls and it spins and it does all this stuff. So this is your intestines. The gut lining is the inside of that piping system. You could actually right now take your tongue and put on the inside of your mouth. It's not as weak as your mouth. It's very, very strong. But it's the inside, right? The inside of the piping. And this is this gut lining and the gut wall. So gut health, the first thing you want to talk about is the integrity of it. How healthy is it? The gut is supposed to be pretty strong. It's not supposed to have too much damage in it. And it's supposed to be functioning well. That's the second thing. How well is it functioning? And the two things that the gut does is, of course, you eat the food. It breaks down whatever you're eating. It's called digestion. And it tries to absorb the nutrients. And I say try because one, if you're eating poorly, you're not giving it nutrients. And two, if you are eating healthy and the gut lining and the gut wall isn't functioning properly, it may not be able to absorb the nutrients. And the other thing that the gut does, the other function, is to eliminate toxins. Now, this could be anything that your body doesn't need. So it could be, again, if you had too much estrogen, it's the gut's job, and this is where we're going to get into this stuff, to eliminate it. If you have too much of anything, cholesterol or, medications or just, obviously food, right? Things that you're not going to use in the food, undigestible fibers, toxins, things that your body doesn't need and needs to eliminate. The problem here is when the gut wall isn't working well, it does the opposite. So it tends to not absorb the nutrients and it tends to not eliminate the toxins. So it's the opposite, right? They're going to start eliminating the nutrients, things that all the cells of your body need. And it's going to start recirculating and reabsorbing the toxins into the body. And this is where a lot of health issues start, is the fact that your body becomes toxic. There's a toxic load. There's things floating around and recirculating instead of getting eliminated. Think of an air vent system. If you're supposed to push out, it's supposed to filter, but it just actually takes the toxins and throws it back at you. It's not a good thing. The other thing about the gut is that it has a gut microbiome. So this is the terrain. This is inside the plumbing. And this is all the good bacteria, all different types of families that live in the gut. You can think of a garden, think of the soil in the garden. There's lots of, microbes in there, and these families want to live in harmony with each other. So this is the balance that's really important in your gut microbiome. You want these families growing and being robust and quite equal. This is key. You can also look at a garden like if you had the different families like tomatoes and peppers and zucchinis and cucumbers, and they're all growing beautifully. You're like, great, I have a nice robust garden and it's even. When it's not balanced well, you come out to the garden and you see, oh gosh, the tomatoes, they're just taking over. I have no cucumbers. What happened, right? It's when one family of bacteria overgrow and another one suffers. That's an imbalance of a microbiome. They call it a gut dysbiosis, fancy smanchy word, but imbalance of the gut microbiome. So the gut is really important about having integrity, being strong, and making sure that things aren't leaking out or permeating out or getting out that shouldn't. What would get out? These toxins that should be eliminated can now get out, right? Can get recirculated into the bloodstream. Actually, food, sometimes the proteins can get out, and this is where we can get some food sensitivities. So we have an issue with the gut lining. The gut wall needs to be strong, and the integrity of it needs to be, the structure of it needs to be healthy. We need to have a really good balance of gut microbiome bacteria. And we need the function of the gut, the digestion, which means the breaking down of the food, the absorbing of the good things, the elimination of the bad things to happen. That's a healthy gut. And the last part about gut health is that it's not really just about digestion. It's also 80% of your immune system, and some people say 90, live in the gut lining. That's where your immune system is. And by the way, your digestive tract is 20-something feet long, depending upon where you're beginning and ending, and you're counting. So when I was in chiropractic school and we were doing anatomy, we had a human cadaver in front of us, which, if you don't know what a cadaver is, it's someone who's passed away. It's their body that they gave to science. So it's a dead person, and we're cutting up the body, and this is how we learned anatomy. And when we got to the digestive tract, they had us take out the intestines, and they did this, and I could tell you with the integrity of it because I've held it. And you could take the intestines and go 10 feet to one side of the room and 10 feet back, and you'll have a little bit extra. So it's huge. It's the biggest organ inside your body. It's a humongous surface area. And I can tell you when it's not working properly, the body suffers greatly. It's like the trunk of a tree. Its job is to get the good things outward into the systems of the body, which is where you get all these symptoms from, right? And eliminate the bad things. It's really, really important thing. So it's not just about a digestion. You've got your immune system there as well. And that's important as well, because we'll get into that. So let's move into what a leaky gut is and just explain that as well as we can. So this is one of the biggest issues that I see in my practice, and of course, what I've decided to commit my practice to. And I'm going to pause here and just say why I did that. Because if I take the approach of just doing nutrition and supplements and treating symptoms through food and supplements, I'm kind of doing the same thing the medical world's doing. It's just cleaner, right? We're doing food, which is really well. If the patient has a bad diet, that's pretty simple. We clean up the diet and some supplements to help. But it's still kind of the same approach of that. Of I don't want to just treat symptoms. So when I got over to leaky gut and I got into this, you could hear, I won't get into it in this podcast, but I have podcasts about my story. It was to help my son with Asperger's. And I've learned over years and years and years of helping him that the gut and the brain have a connection. So that's how I helped him overcome his Asperger challenges, was to get the gut healthy so the neurotransmitters can be made correctly and he can get the nutrients he needs so the brain can be balanced. Your gut lining, it acts like a barrier. There's actually a blood barrier in that gut lining, in that gut wall. There's also a blood barrier like at the brain. And you even have a blood supply and a blood barrier like where your teeth. That's, I think, the most obvious people know, because they know that their gums can bleed, or if you pull a tooth, you see the blood. So in the tissue of the gut lining, think of that. There's blood. There's a barrier there. And it's selective about what gets into your bloodstream. And this is a God-given protection. So the gut wall is very selective. And there's proteins in there that decide this. They decide what is going to be absorbed or allowed to leave the gut and get into the bloodstream, which is permeating. That's that word, permeability, or leak, like get out, right? What can leave the lining and get into the bloodstream? So typically it's going to be very small nutrients like vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, phytonutrients. Those are the things that should get absorbed and go through the gut wall into the bloodstream. Now, when the lining becomes damaged, it becomes more permeable. So it's letting things out that shouldn't. This is the term leaky. Toxins, bacteria, undigested food particles start to pass through. And what this does is, as it's doing this, the immune system that's sitting there going, no, this shouldn't happen. We can't have stuff floating around in the bloodstream. This is not good. And this is really another crux, by the way, of most diseases, is that there's just typically, when I said with cancer, and I said, dive down deep, like what is going on in there? The bloodstream is like your taxi service. It's like your streets, your highways running through your body. And if there's bacteria in there and toxins and different things, the body is going to try to get it out. So the immune system is going to react. And this is where inflammation comes in. It triggers an inflammation and autoimmune response. It's an immune response. So it can lead to autoimmune, is where my brain was going. But basically this whole story I'm telling you triggers the immune system. And it tells the immune system to respond. And it responds with inflammatory particles. So that's the biggest thing, is that most of the situations we have is our immune system is trying to save us, protect us, clean things up. It's usually about cleaning something up. That's what I mean. What's going on in the body? What's going on in the environment? So over time, this whole thing I'm telling you about can lead to symptoms like fatigue, brain fog, joint pain, nerve pain, skin issues, migraines, hormone disruption, that fight or flight, inability to focus, pay attention. And of course, I can't leave out digestive issues. That's a little obvious, so I know I haven't said that, but if you go right down to the gut, the leaky gut is also can cause digestion issues. So anything within the digestive system. So all the itis is gastritis, diverticulitis, colitis, but the bloating, the gas, the diarrhea, the constipation, the reflux, stuff like that. Let's get into food sensitivities and why they happen. I have podcasts on this. You're welcome to go back. I know it might be hard to roll back because we are like in season 5. And this is amazing that I've had your guys' support and we've been able to do this. But I know I get into food sensitivities. And I know it's in season 1 because I went through each part. But I for the time's sake right now, maybe I'll do another podcast on this to bring it back up to, I guess, now. Is food sensitivities are different from food intolerances and slightly different from food allergies. why they happen is a lot of people get frustrated that they feel they can't tolerate foods anymore. So they can get more bloated, or they can have, health issues. Doesn't have to be within the digestive tract, but they feel like, oh, I can't eat anything. Every time I eat something triggers, like my irritable bowel, or it triggers my bloating, or it triggers my reflux, or it triggers my headaches, or I just feel tired. They start cutting things out, right? Which I get, totally should try. Cut out gluten, dairy, sugar. And sometimes, my patients feel a little better, but not completely. And they're just like, I feel better, but something's still not right. And this is because the issue isn't always the food. It's the gut. The food is part of the story for sure, but it's the gut not functioning well. When the gut lining is compromised, the immune system becomes more reactive. I'm going to say that again for the people in the back, because this is really, really key to so many things. When the gut lining is compromised, the immune system becomes more reactive. So now your body's responding to foods that normally wouldn't be a problem. And you have to understand, when the immune system reacts, it gives off cytokines, inflammatory particles, many of them. And these are like Pac-Man. They get into the bloodstream and they just think of the Pac-Man game. Boop, 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 boop. They go wherever they want and they create havoc. And anytime you find inflammation in the body, it affects cells. Cells start becoming something different. It's the first stage. I'm not saying that you're going to get cancer, but it's the first stage of an unhealthy situation in the body. An imbalance is when cells become inflamed and they start becoming something other than themselves. So to go back, it's immune system response. So your body's responding to foods that normally wouldn't be a problem. And this is why just eliminating a food sometimes isn't the long-term solution if you haven't helped the gut heal. And for some people, when they eliminate the foods, they're like, that worked. That was great, Dr. Lisa. I don't need to go any further. And that's where they stay. But overall health of the body, or I tell them if something pops up later, come back. Because overall health, thinking of the whole body, diving really, really deep, really depends on a healthy gut, or gut health, which we just talked about. All right, what's the gut hormone connection? We have a lot of podcasts on this, but let's jump into it a little bit here, because it's really, really gets interesting. Now, your gut plays a major role in hormone balance, especially when it comes to estrogen and cholesterol. Now, cholesterol isn't a hormone, but I lump it in there just so you know, and this is the way I work, because it behaves like one. It's really a mopper-upper. It really goes out and it's a first responder. When there's something in the bloodstream, the liver sends cholesterol out to try to clean it up. So it's very protective of the body. It's like your little, fireman going out and trying to fix things. Let's get back to estrogen too. Think of that as the hormone. Your body processes hormones through the liver, and then they're eliminated through the gut. I'm going to say that for the people in the back. It processes hormones through the liver and then eliminates it through the gut. What it really does, the liver, huge function, and I'm going to have a podcast on the liver. It's, all right, we all know the word detox, detox, detox. The liver's job really is to convert. They call it conjugate. That's the big word. But you're really converting something that needs to leave the body into a water-soluble compound that can get into the stool and be pooped out. So the liver's super important. You can call it detoxification, because that's what you're doing. You're taking a toxin and you're detoxing it. Making it safe. You're taking something in a not so safe form, converting into a safe form, and then sending it to the to the gut to be eliminated. That's the story. Now, if that works properly, because that's the first step, is that working properly for people? And we look at this through functional. We look at detoxification, things like your nutrients that you need for the pathways to happen, the amino acids you need for the pathway to happen. Do you have a genetic mutation that could be slowing this process down or speeding this process up? We look at all that. Now let's put a check mark and say that works well. Then it gets to your gut, right? If your gut is not functioning properly, the hormones don't get cleared efficiently, or, here's it, drum roll, and I don't know why, but the gut can decide to convert it back into the toxin and then reabsorb it back into the body. So it will recirculate back. And this can contribute to so many symptoms, so many health issues. This is really, really one part of the big root cause. So, symptoms, PMS, bloating, mood swings, fatigue, chronic fatigue syndrome, skin issues, I'm going to go on and on, inability to focus, inability to lose weight. If you keep recirculating estrogen and your hormones all over the place, it can be very, very difficult. Thyroid gets affected here. So again, we are at the gut, at the center of some health issues. Okay, I like to stay at the 20 mark, but I'm going a little further because I want to really wrap this up in a pretty bow. Because why quick fixes don't work. A lot of people are looking for the quick fixes, right? So supplement, medication, diet, cleanse, right? Detox cleanse, this. I'm not saying fasting is bad, but a lot of people, they're looking for that. But the body doesn't really work that way. If the gut has been inflamed or imbalanced for a long time, it'll take time to repair, right? If this has been going on, this is a chronic, insidious, quiet little thing going on, and the gut wall isn't working and the gut wall is damaged, it's going to take time to repair. And more importantly, we have to understand why it became imbalanced in the first place. And this is where I really differ from so many people because I'm so hyper-focused on the why. Why is the patient in this situation? And functional medicine differs here because we're not managing symptoms. We're looking for root causes. But I will address a lot of the things that have come to me where you walk away with 15 supplements and you don't have the leaky gut protocol. So I understand your frustration there with functional medicine. Sometimes people don't do that. Where to start? So if you're listening to this and you're thinking, hey, this sounds like me. What do I do? Where do I begin? Dr. Lisa, help. I always come back to these few foundational steps. We want to support the gut lining. We want to balance the gut microbiome. We want to fix the leaky gut. We want to make sure the detox pathways or the conjugating conversion pathways in the liver are working and in the gut. That's a whole big loop and a whole big story. And we got to make sure that the body gets the nutrients it needs. That's where I would use a supplement in the very beginning when I'm trying to kickstart the body. I'm not detoxing. We do not detox. The liver detoxes, the gut detoxes. We want to support these pathways with nutrients that might be missing, which is why a vitamin test is really important because I can see what specific ones you're deficient in and I can start really pinpointing, and that's where I would target. But in general, a really good nutrient based foods, you really have to start eating better if you're not. But again, you could be eating things and going, oh my gosh, it's making me worse. So food sensitivity test is helpful for that. So you don't have to try to figure it out. And you don't have to do everything at once. That's the beauty of this. This has been here a while for you. So, you can take time on this. You can start with the gut. I feel like that's often one of the most impactful things you can do is just start with gut health. And if you've worked with me, I'm very cautious at jumping in and trying to do everything at one time. I know I have some patients who are like, I want it all, just test it all, let's just do it. And we do work with patients like that, and I appreciate them. But I do get hesitant, and I'm even hesitant talking because I like to take the first step and get the gut health working, get the microbiome balanced, right? Get the gut wall functioning, repair the damage that's there. Now, I'm going to wrap this up, but what I want you to know is how do you do this is you want to make sure that you're taking out of any triggers in the gut. What's causing that immune system to overreact? What is starting that inflammation? What is damaging the gut wall? Why isn't the gut wall working well? So you want to look at triggers, and some of the triggers are food. Food sensitivities is really where to begin. And we remove the foods that come up on the test that say, hey, this is the immune system's just attacking this. It's all immunology. It's attacking it too high. Let's get it out. This is definitely a problem at the gut barrier, the gut wall. And the other thing is we look for pests in there. Are there parasites activating this? Are there bacterias in there? Are there yeast overgrowths? Are there viruses in there? So we want to make sure if there's some kind of pest in the garden there that you've got, that comes out, because these are triggers. The other thing is we want to look at your gut print, which I call the gut microbiome imbalance. So they call it the gut dysbiosis. I call it the gut print. Like, what is your microbiome looking like? Does it look like you've got all these tomatoes taking over the place, And we got to get you on the right probiotic and the right prebiotic to make sure that we get this gut microbiome healthy. And there's a little tricks, like bone broth, and I'm sure you've heard about, and some amino acids and stuff to help the tissue and the lining of the gut get more, stronger, build the integrity of it. So there's things we do with gut health for sure. So hopefully this gives you a better understanding of why the gut is so important and how it can impact so many different aspects of your body and your health, and why, it's not just about symptoms. This is something I'll continue to talk about because, it's truly foundational and my passion. If you're dealing with an ongoing symptom and you're not getting any answers, it may be time to look deeper, and especially at the gut. Thanks for being here, and don't be afraid to reach out to me if you want to talk about your health. I'll see you at the next episode.